And I think we're up.
Oh, we are here now.
Alrighty.
How do you know?
I see the red light and I'm paying attention. That's why.
That's a very evil, snickery laugh. I like it.
Because I run a tight ship here at beadshop.com, everybody.
Right.
Alrighty. Well, welcome, everyone. It's great to have you all. We are ready. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Kate Richburg.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
We're ready to do this.
That is a stunning scarf you have
Thank you. It was a little gift from my husband's cousin. Knitted it for me. I loved it, so I thought I'd wear it. And I'm wearing something else, something that you made for me.
I like that too.
For my 50th birthday. I think you guys have seen this. Let me see if I can take it off.
And around,
it goes around and around. I'll show you at the end of the broadcast, but it is the most epic crocheted rope that I've ever seen.
It goes on a while.
It goes on and on. So we'll share it at the end of the broadcast. Okay. We'll put it in the notes. But I love this piece, so I thought I'd wear it today. All seed beads all the time. Well, welcome you guys to Facebook Live. If it's Wednesday, it must be another edition of Facebook Live.
Live
here we
from
are.
Redwood City.
From Redwood City, here
California.
at beadshop.com.
Slightly sunny day out there.
That's right. Well, it's Kate and Emily in front of the camera, and Brandwin is behind the camera, and all of our fantastic bead shop team is running around filling your orders. So
you'll see them dashing past me on the right here.
Dashing. All of us dashing. So it's great. Everybody's jumping on. It's great to see everybody that's here.
Hi, Gwen. I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah. Oh, my mom says she's looming. My
mom awesome.
Doing some bead weaving. I can't wait to see what she creates.
I know.
I wonder. It's awesome.
I actually have a project I worked on for Gwen just the other day. I did a little work on it.
You did? Yeah. I wonder what that is.
I know.
Is it something that I have already?
You do.
Oh, you're gonna like this one, Ma. You're gonna like this one.
You're just gonna have to wait. It's coming. Don't worry.
It's coming.
You know.
Well, we have a few things to chitty chat about, and then we'll get started on our project. It's a really great one. Prairie is a real bead shop classic, so we're really excited to share that with you. But before we get started, I have a couple of things I wanted to share. And if you are watching this later, there are many ways that you can watch this broadcast. Live, of course, as you are right now, and it's really great to have all of you guys here. You can also watch us later on our Facebook page, right here at the beadshop.com Facebook page. You can go right over to our website, beadshop.com, click on Facebook Live, and we have all of the info for the product, the recipe, the materials list, all of that. So just click on Facebook Live. You'll see a little index photo that has the sample photos on it. Just click there, and you'll see all the information that you're going to need to make this great project. And then
and the links for the earlier learning from this.
For the learning.
Because we've got this other pile of
all
delicious
stuff.
samples.
And we're going to share all that learning with you. There's so much going on. And then, of course, you can watch it on our YouTube channel, Bead Shop, after the broadcast. We upload it, and we know some of you are big YouTube fans for that. We also have Gita, our wonderful moderator from across the seas in Denmark, and she is posting as beadshop.com. And, of course, we've got Janice on coming in and chatting. And moderating as well and linking. So it's great to have everybody there. So I did want to mention, we've got some exciting things coming up for Bead Shop.
Awesome things coming up.
Janice is going to be
amazing.
It's going to be amazing. We're kicking it into high gear. Janice is coming back the first week of May. It's the week before her birthday. So we have a really, really fun project that she's going to be sharing with you. That's the first week of May. And then we slide into June. Janice and I are going to be teaching at the Bead and Button Show in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're doing, some of you have been chatting about this on our group, the Bead Table. It's the color study wrap. This is mine called Deco Wrap. But Janice and I will be teaching this class on Saturday, the Saturday of the show, of the Bead and Button Show, and it's going to be really, really fun. I'm teaching my signature soldering class on Friday, so if you do want to come to Bead and Button and have a 2-day dose of Janice and I, you can do that. You can go right over to the Bead and Button website and sign up for our classes. We also have something really exciting that's coming up during Bead and Button. It's a new thing this year. So, and there's going to be more info about it, and I'll share it with you also in the notes, and we'll put it on the Facebook page and stuff. It's a competition that the Bead and Button show is doing this year called Project Embellish. Now, if you've ever watched, I don't know, those cooking shows like Chopped or Top Chef or, I don't know,
we watched the
Iron
knife.
Chef.
We watched my husband and I like to watch the knife making show, the Forged in Fire.
Yeah, Forged in Fire.
So it's very much like that.
Yes, it is.
Or Project Runway.
Project Runway, right. And so on Thursday, the first day of the show, the preview is on Thursday. There's like a 3-hour competition featuring, I don't know, designers and creators from the bead world, instructors that
are they going to give you like a limited?
There are, and so one of those instructors is me. I'm super excited. I've always wanted to be on Chopped. So there's all the details about it. It's called Project Embellish, and it's on the Bead and Button website, and we'll post it for you guys too. It's going to be really fun. So it is a competition, and some of my fellow instructors like Eva Sherman's going to be on it, and I think Francesca Watson, and I know there's someone else, Gwen Youngblood.
So it sounds like it might be kind of metal.
It's not,
directed.
no. I mean, I think it's across the board. I think it's metal and beads.
So they're like going to give you some candy wrappers
who knows?
And a car leaf spring.
I think, and yeah, it's going to be super crazy. So they'll be
sea urchin meat.
Who knows, right? That you open the basket, you're all, what am I doing with red licorice and sea urchin? Right? But it's going to be the same. Red Hots, right? Well, it's going to be the same thing. We get a box full of tools, we get some supplies, and we're going to be Facebook Living it. We will, Bead and Button's also planning on doing a live stream, but we will make sure that that live stream gets to all of you guys, because I'm going to need your support, because I have 3 hours to make, I don't know what. We'll see. I'm going to do my real best. You know who's going to win? You know who's going to win. No, I'm going to put that away. Put that competition sheet away. But it's going to be really fun, and I'm super looking forward to hanging out. Oh, and it's emceed by our very dear friend Brenda Schwader, the creator of Now That's a Jig. So I know there's going to be some wire in there. And
she's hilarious.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
So when is this happening? During
it is that Thursday. I'll give you the exact date. It's the Thursday of Bead and Button. Thursday, I think June 7th, and it starts, I think, at 4 o'clock Central Time, I guess. Milwaukee is Central Time. So, but we'll give you a lot of info before that time, but I'm a little terrified and pretty excited.
And I'll be calling down the 4th Wednesday before that, so I'll remind you, because I'm going to be glued to my computer yelling from here.
Yeah, and Janice and I are going to be doing some Facebook Living from Bead and Button as well. Probably we'll do a little Facebook Live that Thursday as well, to kind of share some info with you, and then throughout the weekend. So that'll be something really fun that if you can't join us for Bead and Button, we will bring you along via the live feed.
Margaret said you are cool, calm, and creative.
And
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, thanks, Margaret.
Janice wanted to make sure you mentioned her.
I have it.
It's on the list, Janice.
I have it on my list right there. So Janice is having Janice's Bead Up on Saturday, April 21st. And she's going to focus, you guys, on pearl knotting. So the great Janice Parsons will be kind of sharing live and in person some of her knotting techniques, pearl knotting techniques, and that is on Saturday, April 21st, and that is actually on Janice's side of the country. She's holding it in her recreation room. And inviting everybody to come. It's free, but you do have to pre-register, and if you need that info, what you can do is email info@beadshop.com, or there's also, I think, an RSVP on our page. But if you want to come, just shoot an info over to Drea at info, and she will put you on the RSVP list. I think you guys are going to have really...
You want to be on the list.
A lot of fun. Yeah, you got to get on the list.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like this.
The red velvet rope will keep all the other people out.
You notice how I'm writing with my all.
Right. There's going to be the guy standing there.
Yeah.
Sunglasses on.
Right. Or a bead lady. One of the two. Who knows? But it's going to be awesome. So that's what we've got going on here. We also will be at Philly Bead Fest. One thing I did want to let you guys know, Bead Fest is going through a little bit of, not a big change, but they just went through a little bit of employee reorg. So I know that the Bead Fest website is usually up by now, by the beginning of April, but there is a save the date, so don't you guys worry. It's going, classes are going. And all of that information will be up on the Bead Fest website for Bead Fest Philly in the next few weeks. So just hang in and be patient.
Such a good bead show.
It's going to be amazing. So I'm teaching a lot of metalsmithing classes. We're having a great meet and greet. Janice and Drea will be there like they were last year, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So Bead Fest, I think, starts that Wednesday, August 15th with classes, and then the big show, I think, starts, the big show starts on Friday the 17th, and our meetup will probably be either Friday night or Saturday night. I don't think we've nailed it down yet, but that's coming. So it's going to be really fun. We've got a summer full of great stuff, and then we slide right into our bead retreat, which is full, but we are going to be also Facebook Living it from there as well. So there's a lot of stuff. Oh, and I also have an event coming up at my studio, which will put more information out where everyone is invited. Yeah, next month. Mother's Day weekend, actually, the 12th and 13th. Cynthia Thornton and Andrew Thornton. Cynthia from Green Girl and Andrew Thornton of Andrew Thornton Bead fame. They have a great Allegory Gallery. They're going to be at my studio playing around with some cool stuff. And Emily, I hope you're going to be there.
I'm going to come. I think I might do some indigo dyeing. Yeah, because that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and
it's a change up.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's all free. It's just here in my studio in South San Francisco. So there'll be more information about that as well. So I think that's everything we've got. There's so much, and we've got so much to do. So we're going to jump right in. But at any time, you guys, when you're watching this, though, I tell you this after the fact, if you want to kind of bypass all of our chit chat, because we know that our chit chat isn't for all of you, feel free to just fast forward to about the 15-minute mark. And all of the instruction on the projects will begin. Also, I wanted to mention a lot of you use them, and really, I think they're such a great learning tool. But Drea puts together kind of an episode wrap-up called Episode Notes, and that comes out the Monday after the broadcast. So if you download the episode notes, and they're all, if you click on our Facebook Live on our website, they're all linked. There's a little button on the page that says Episode Notes. You click it, it downloads, and it has almost a play-by-play, a minute marker where you can
It's definitely the companion project. And if you, if you're
it's like the Cliff Notes.
If you're reading the comments and you we go past something and you're like, oh, I kind of missed that.
Yeah, what was that?
It's easy to kind of pick up again. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you're watching it after the fact, having those two side by side is just amazing.
Is really amazing. Yeah. And Drea does an amazing job. It's something that Janice started, which was great, and then Drea picked up the baton and continued to run with it. If you haven't downloaded the episode notes from last week's epic Spring Surprise broadcast where I loomed and you herringboned, Drea did a great job in the episode notes. Yeah. Brandwin does the photos for those, and she actually takes the photos live while we're on air. She's working the camera, this camera, and that camera all at the same time. It's really incredible. So
she's got a camera in each hand.
She does. It's true. She's ambicamerous, is what she is, really. And and so the photos are really great, and so they really capture that play-by-play. So, especially from last week, Drea broke it down. So your instructions are on one grouping, and my instructions are
because we were tag teaming it last week. It was fun though.
It was fun. It was super fun. It was really great to do that. Loomed, and I need to jump on the bandwagon and do that herringbone. That's a stitch I don't know.
It's such an easy stitch, and it is one that kind of moves along quickly, which is it's sort of like looming,
Yeah.
Okay, stitch one stitch at a time. Yeah. Looming kind of, you move along, a row at a time kind of goes quickly. And I think herringbone does the same thing. There were a number of folks who were working on their herringbones already and posted it on the
bead table, which was great.
So there was a couple of questions that I thought I would reiterate on that.
Okay.
If you want to do something else with herringbone, one thing you can do is change your bead sizes pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
Right? So each row, once you do the step up, change the bead type.
Oh,
so
okay.
you could go all the way around with shadows.
Okay.
And then all the way around with the 3mm melon.
Oh, so you could kind of graduate up and graduate down.
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
really interesting.
So then it
Maybe
would
I'll
give
try
you a
that.
little gem.
Oh, cool.
Kind of on there.
Right, on there, in and out. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we do all the same choices.
Oh,
and then you could also go down to an 11 or to a Delica to make it really skinny.
Really skinny.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
And you can do more than 6 around, of course.
Well, I hope that we will revisit that herringbone because
It's
I know
a lot of
really
fun.
people liked it. It was great. And
Also, there was a quick question that Mimi spoke up to early on today on the comments, and I did answer it on the comments, but I wanted to reiterate it. She was looking for something to loom with that would be more durable for a young person, and she just wants to use surfer cord on the outside. My suggestion was Fireline for looming.
Oh, yeah. You could do
much more
Fireline
durable,
with looming.
much very very strong. The other thing is, I typically do my looming with a single thread, and I think you do that as well. You could, Mimi, do double thread,
Looming back, forth, back and forth.
back and forth with two the strand going all the way through. What I would be really careful about is not to split your thread. That's kind of the kiss of death.
Yeah, well,
But it would make a more durable, another more durable, and a way to have a bigger thread on the outside edges as it wraps over the surfer cord. I really like that surfer cord. I'm really interested in maybe doing some macrame with that.
Yeah, it's really a great cord, and the we're going to be having it back in. I know that you guys loved it so much, and we loved it so much, but our supplier is working real hard on getting it back in. So make sure you've signed yourself up for those product notifications, and as soon as it gets back in, you can jump on it. And it looks like, and Janice also said she used the KO double, and you'll be happy with it as well. So I think they both they'll both work well. So that's great. It looks like my mom may be coming
on Mother's Day,
which would be great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you. That'd be awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, well, I think it's that time. Let's jump in and work on this Prairie project, shall we? Oh, and just one quick thing before we move. I wanted to say a big thank you to Janice. We like to call her Janice 2.0, Janice K. We got your little gifty that you sent us, our little balm for our fingers. We opened them
up and we put them on right away.
You wrote us a really nice note and a little treat for our hardworking hands. So Janice K, thank you so much. You sent her a little card from Beadlemania. She does a lot of great handmade jewelry, and she is a loyal bead shop customer, and I know an avid watcher of our Facebook Lives, and a crack shop metalsmith. She was on my book testing team, so it was really nice. So thank you so much, Janice, for our little... I put some on my fingers already, and so hopefully our hands won't look so ragged during this podcast. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Let's do it. So, Brandon, why don't we move that camera down? And Cindy Brooke, you asked while we're moving it down, I'll show you.
I'll type it in right here.
Yeah.
I'll put the Balm brand in here.
Yeah. It looks like the Lolo bar. And I have blackberry sage, which I really like. It smells delicious. I love it. Yes. Thank you, Janice K. That was super, super thoughtful of you.
Lotion.
All right, so we're set to go. Okay, so we've got, as you can see, a whole bunch of stuff going on here. And Brandon, I think if you can move it a little further more towards my view, that's awesome. Okay. Thank y'all. That's perfect. So here are the samples, you guys, that we've got 3 terrific colorways that we're going to be working with today. We've got this Crater Lake, which is this silver kind of colorway. We've got this Bryce Canyon, this coppery colorway. And then the one that I'm working on, and I've got everything kind of scattered around, is called Petrified Forest. And the base leather for this is purple, which is great. One note, I wanted to talk about this silver. The silver and some of our other 5mm strap leathers that we have at beadshop.com, they're painted. The leather is actually coated with the metallic color, okay? And it's made to look kind of distressed. So, like for instance, if I pulled like this piece from this Prairie that I have over here, you can see that this is a dyed leather here, but the metallic is more of a paint that sits on the top. It grips it pretty well, but you are going to start to see signs of wear on it. You just are. That's kind of how...
Yeah, the copper's a little bit wrinkly.
Yeah, just a little with the... But that's, I think, kind of adds to kind of the beauty of these metallics. So do expect a little bit of that to occur with the metallic leathers. So I just wanted to point that out to you. We also... This... Prairie project was something that Janice started not quite a few years ago, a few years ago. And you know the piece that she wears all the time, Trail Ride, that was kind of the beginning project for that. And if you go to the Prairie projects, we have a really amazing handout that Janice wrote. And as Janice said yesterday when we were talking about the handout, her OCD really kicked in. So this handout is like, I don't know how many pages, 15 pages of like Prairie realness that we've got going on here. But her trail
really nice
ride,
pictures.
Yeah, really great photos. We printed it out in black and white just to have a little draft of it here. But the trail ride project that Janice has, the one that she wears all the time when she's on camera, this is the one that kind of started it all. So when we got these new clasps, we got a brand new clasp in, and it's this half circle magnetic clasp that looks like this. And you can see it is exactly a half circle with a magnet here. And I was thinking, what a fun way to kind of do a Prairie update. So I sent some samples and stuff to Janice, and then she took it and ran with it. So you can see on our classic Prairies, let me pull this one, that the project itself, you use a larger clasp. This is a 10 millimeter clasp. So you can get 2 of the 5 millimeter pieces of strap leather in there, right? But this metal clasp here, this has a 5 millimeter opening, so it fits 1 strand of the 5 millimeter leather. Okay. We also have, I wanted to show you, we've got these Skyline clasps as well. Skyline, I think, is 20 millimeters in length, and maybe it's more than 20. 10, 20, maybe it's 40. I don't know. We can look it up on the thing. It'll say on Skyline. But it's super wide anyway, the point is, right? And so you can do something like this. This is also kind of a Prairie variation. And this is using our printed leathers, which actually stand up very well if you're wondering. They work really, really nicely. And it's the Skyline clasp that's coming up. But again, it's nice and wide, and it makes more of a cuff kind of piece for this. So it really just depends on where you're at with the, there it is, Skyline, and it is 40 millimeters. Great. It's great. So it's a nice, big, wide clasp. So you can decide whatever type of clasp you want to use. We have, you know, some really nice, interesting plainer clasps and clasps that have designs, but all of these really fun. This is Spirit, this guy here. Of course, our favorite Book of Kells.
Cool Luke.
Cool Luke I love. Cool Luke is just plain, and I'm a big fan of just this super simple plain clasp. So if this C kind of clasp thing isn't really your gig, you can just kind of go back and use one of the 10 millimeter clasps and do a double over. So it just depends.
And what about these guys?
Yeah, we also, so these are brand new as well. And these, you can see all of our brand new things in our Just In section on beadshop.com. This one is called, I had it up a second ago and now I've lost it.
Loop leather?
No, it's called, what's it called?
You told me and I went and got it and I
did,
promptly forgot.
And now we've promptly forgotten, but I have it right here. It's called, yeah, Loop Leather End. Yeah, that's right. Loop Leather End in antique silver and antique copper. We're getting it in the antique brass. It just hasn't quite made it to us yet. So this looped end, I think, is really fabulous. Let's say that you wanted to change leathers in the middle of your project. You could do that by just putting on this looped end. You could connect it to another looped end like this with a bead, with a wire
That'd be
wrap
really
bead.
cute with a wire wrap bead
Right?
in between.
Wouldn't it be? I think it would be really cool. Or you could use, like you could wire wrap to one of our mini hoops that way. Or you could get a larger jump ring. You guys, we've got some really great large jump rings coming in.
If you did that mini hoop, you could hang some dangles down from it.
You could dangle from it.
Yeah.
This could also be, if you came around on both sides, it would be great as a necklace component. You could make this flat leather lay flat as a necklace.
Yeah.
You can also...
Badge holders, maybe?
Yeah, it would be really cool. You can also get, I think it's 3 strands of the cord, of your round cord, depending on the size, but you could individually use your round leather to go in there.
You know, the way
with
the
a multiple
Tahoe kind of
strand.
works, you could actually use that to kind of make a smaller version of the
Tahoe. It would look great. So these, as I say, they're going to be in the brass, but we have them in the copper and in the silver now. And the finish is perfect with all of our magnetic clasps. So it's kind of a fun way to continue to play around with what we've got.
I was really tickled that, Janice, I tried your bracelet on earlier today and wore it for a little while. And my wrist is a little bit bigger, but putting that C clasp on is super easy.
Yeah, and you can see, like on my wrist, there's plenty of room, it fits. And then let's get your wrist out here, Em. You can see it also fits on Emily's wrist really, really well. So I think it fits kind of a variety of sizes for people as well. So,
and I thought it was really nice to put on something so easy.
Yeah.
I just slipped it on, and it actually kind of held itself. And then I went ahead and wrapped around. And Janice made these as sort of between 4 and 5.
Oh, get down a little bit there. Yeah.
Or 5 and 6 wraps. And for me, I have a little bit bigger wrist, so we just went ahead. I just went ahead and let it end up where it ended up, and let it clasp up on itself in the right direction. And it's great. It just held everything right together.
Right together. Yeah. And it really
help me.
There we go. I got you. I got you covered. There we go. So it really does, and we're going to talk about how to make this, like you could make it fit, you would make yours maybe
a little
bit tighter. Yeah. But it really just fits really nicely there. So we'll talk about how to get everything to measure correctly. That's pretty simple. So let's jump in and talk about the design of this piece. When we were talking about it this morning, Cara said, "I just love Prairie," and and it's true. And I said, "Cara, what do you love so much about Prairie?" And what did you say, Cara?
It's easy to do.
Right, it's so easy to do, right? Because it really is just macrame, right? And just in various forms. So let's break this down a little bit and check out the different stitches that it has. It has this basic macrame stitch.
Easy.
Right? Easy, simple, plain. Then we go into this kind of beaded macrame where the beaded, the edge of the macrame is
also easy.
Knotted. Also very easy. And then it may look difficult, but still super easy. This is kind of a new design that Janice was doing. I
don't know how to do this. I'm kind of excited to learn.
I'm excited. I just learned yesterday.
Wow.
So, you know, it's super easy. And I like calling this kind of the beaded bridge macrame knot because there's a little bridge of beads that go over the top. And these are an 8/0 seed bead. But it really looks effective. And this would be lovely as just a single like this. It would be great as just a single one rather than a wrap. So I think it's great. And so in these, Janice has put in 2 sections of this beaded bridge, 2 sections in this one of the knot with the side bead, and 2 of just the plain. But as I know what Janice is saying to her computer right now, she's saying, but you can do whatever you want. So it's really true. There's a really good question that Margaret has. Would that C-clasp take texturing and or stamping? You know, I would say probably not.
Yeah, that would.
No.
I suspect it with the plating.
Yeah, these have been cast and plated, and they've been hardened to really keep this shape.
Yeah.
You could, you could test it out, but I would say that, and especially since it's curved like this, unless you're stamping like on a mandrel or something. But what?
Could we macrame on top of that?
Oh, you could. Probably you could. You could
that would look kind of cool,
here.
maybe.
It might look kind of cool.
Yeah.
You could also maybe wire wrap or something around it. But I think that stamping for this, you may want to take a pass. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I haven't experimented yet. But they're cool. So, okay. So let's talk about our first basic stitch. I'm going to take off this scarf because now I'm starting to get warm because we're going to get down into it, right?
We're gonna need some air.
I'm going to hand over my beloved scarf from
Golly.
my cousin Megan. She did a beautiful job. Isn't it lovely? Yeah, just throw it there. Great. And Brandon, am I in a good space or shall I move this a little bit or are you all right?
I'm over to you.
Okay, great. So in the Prairie handout, Janice talks a lot about what it is that she, how to do some different stitches. She shows not only this plain knotted section, we also talk about how to change color, and I'm going to show you that as well. In the original Prairie, okay, Janice starts with the back of the leather turned towards you. And notice I'm not even using a design board. I have this
You rebel.
taped down, and as Janice says in like the first note of the handout, she says start with lots and lots of Scotch tape. So I'm going to cellophane tape this sucker down right here, and this is ready to go. Now what we did in the interest of kind of being able to use this piece that I'm making to finish it up later after the broadcast if we don't get all of the macrame done, I had Emily pre-string all of the sliders so that the sliders, as I'm working,
don't slide off.
yeah, I can slide, well, I can slide the sliders right down where I want them to go. So if I want to work on this piece right down here, I'll just glue this slider in place and glue this slider in place and have that section that I can work on. So we've done a little bit of pre-stringing. We also, what Janice used in this piece that she has here, she used our mini hoops. And again, you guys have loved our mini hoops so much that we're a little low on our favorite copper ones. And those will be coming in real soon. But I wanted to have an alternate because I also like to have some some options, right? A few options. So I thought that our 7mm
those big
jump rings would look fabulous. And I want to put some of those on the end so you guys can see how I would do that. Now Janice added them right at the last before she added the C clasp on. So I'm going to grab, these are 7mm rings and our jump rings, and I'm just going to close a few using a bent chain nose and a regular chain nose plier. The 7mm jump ring gives me enough room so I can slide it on nicely. Still has room, still adds a little bit of visual texture, but isn't maybe so gigantor as this mini hoop, though the mini hoop isn't all that big. But if you want to have something that has a profile, oh, that's not a good one. I'm going to throw that one on the ground and keep moving to be vacuumed up later. I'm going to go ahead and close these down. And it also, like I was saying, gives it a little bit of a lower profile if you don't want things that are sticking out from your wrist. Now you can also, hey, Em, would you grab me, I think maybe one of our new charms from Nun Design, like the elephant or the something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good karma.
Good karma. That'll be a nice one. Because I want to show you, you can also, it's also a great way if you wanted to add some charms, some charm to this. I'm going to close this up, and there we go. How many do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8. I like the sound of 8 clasps. And you can see on the other side here, I've put a little flag of the cellophane tape. And I saw just quickly as I glanced over on the feed where you guys are commenting, someone asked about duct tape. Duct tape, I think, is too sticky. duct tape, I think, will leave a lot of residue on your leather. So I would say no
duct
to
tape.
duct.
The painter's tape too, if you liked having that around, it's kind of nice because it has a very low residue.
It does. Sometimes, though, I find that painter's tape
Just doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick as well.
Yeah.
I've used it sometimes in a pinch to close when I'm closing soft flex or stuff like this, and I feel like it wants to fly off a little bit. I've been closing things up with tape for as long as I've been beading, and I found that this cellophane tape is really the jam for me. So, but you guys do you try it out and see what works. So see here, I'm just going to string these little guys on. There's 2. There's 3. Why is this? It's going to take me forever to get these on, so maybe I'll just do 6. And they just string on like little beads, little closures. Now I could, for ease of stringing, kind of
taper that end a little bit.
Taper that end a little, but I'm just going to tell these guys that...
And did you glue any of your pieces yet?
Not yet. No, and we're going to talk about glue in a second, so hang tight. I know that some of you might have some gluing questions. But see, here you go. Here's our little jump rings. Now, I'm going to add a little Ellie to this guy, to this ring here. I maybe should have added it in the middle, but that's all right. I'm going to close it up. And let's see if it fits.
Oh, I see what you're up to.
There we go. And can you see how now that elephant will just kind of fall along?
Ooh, washi tape. What do you think?
No, same as
painter's tape. It's a
painter's
little
tape,
bit wimpy.
Yeah. I would, and you can certainly try it. I'm just sharing my experience with you. I've been using cellophane tape forever, and it really works out well. So you can see, here's just a little way to add some charms to that piece. And I love the way it looks. It gives it a little bit of a different look than these mini hoops do.
It has a little motion, a little bit of interest in a different texture.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And if you guys don't have a tape dispenser like you have in an office, treat yourself.
Yeah.
The next time you go to Staples or Office Depot or wherever, it makes life so much easier. It's weighted so that it doesn't pull out of your hand. You don't have to use 2 hands to get to it. I
Super handy.
don't know why I waited so long.
No, I love a tape dispenser.
Right?
And I also, so that your tape doesn't get caught on things, see I have a little open exposed piece of tape, so if I put this down and maybe it tapes and then I go to pick it up and it hits something else and my beads go all over, I'll trim it just a little bit so there's no adhesive exposed. So now this is nice and tight. Nothing's coming off of there, and we're all good to go.
Janice just does that all the time by nature, doesn't she?
What makes it
even? She makes the tape even.
I usually do too. I don't know. We do, but I always like to really, Janice is OCD with her handouts. I'm kind of OCD with my tape, I think. Right? I really want it to be just right. So let me get rid of these 7mm rings. I'm going to push those guys over. And so what I've done here is I've started on this side with just the plain knot. Okay?
And that's also, it's a home run spacer, I think.
Yeah, this is home run here, and the home run doesn't have a front or a back, so I wasn't worried about where I'd put it. And I haven't glued it down yet. Okay?
Correct. And you're working on the back side, front side?
Well, for this, I actually started this one on the back, and I'll tell you why. You could start on the front if you're not changing colors, but I'm going to show you how to change colors with your Ceylon. And the threads that we're using today is, in this colorway, we have the lemongrass, the Venetian red, and we have the
sable.
Sable. That's the sable here, and the sable is the fine Ceylon. And the Venetian red and the lemongrass are the regular Ceylon. The difference being, and you could use fine for all of these, but this beaded bridge section,
that's
right
where
here,
the fine goes.
The fine has to cross underneath the bridge of the beads, these 8/0. So 2 strands of this regular wouldn't fit. So that's why, through the beads themselves. So that's why we drop down to fine.
Got it.
But again, all of these could be with fine, but this section here must be with fine. So I went ahead, I chose Venetian red as my starter, and I cut off, I don't know, I probably cut off too much. I cut off probably about 1 yard, maybe actually a little bit more. and my back of my leather is facing up. Now the way that you do just the simple macrame square knot, we have a great tutorial on it. You've seen me do it a million times, right? But what we're going to do is I'm just going to start with my first macrame knot. Now you can see I stopped in the middle of my macrame here. Can you see on this side, I don't know if you can get real tight in here, Bran, but on this side of my macrame, I have a little scallop. I know that if I go away and I come back to my macrame, I know that the side with the little scallop, that's the side that I know I'm going to start with. Okay, let me kind of set a little bit of a better of a position. Okay, so I'm going to start my loop. I make my loop to me, facing me. It looks like the letter P, the loop here, and the leather makes the tail of the P. Then with my other strand of thread, I go over the thread, under the leather, and up through the loop and tighten it down. So that makes one half of my knot. I'm going to complete it on the other side by making, when I look at it, it looks like a Q. Here's the loop of the Q and the tail, the leather's the tail. I use this side now, bring it over, under the leather, and up through the loop. Just like the macrame you did for your plant hangers or whatever it is you macrameed back in the day of macrame. Okay?
I always think of this knot as one knot. It's two parts.
Two halves.
Like
one
you do
knot.
a square knot.
Exactly. And I'm going to go pretty quick here because, again, we have so many tutorials on how to make this macrame knot. And I'm going to macrame just a few. Notice how when I'm macrameing, you guys, I'm tying a nice firm knot, but I'm not choking the leather. I'm really just trying to get them nice and firm with an even pull. As I come in and I make this knot, I come in, I kind of automatically see where my middle fingers are here. I automatically make those middle fingers help me pull this thread tight, and then I push it right down, and I just give it like just one quick little tug. Okay.
Beth Brady said we woke up her cat.
We did.
When
Beth
she heard
Brady.
the voices.
Hi, Beth Brady's cat. That's right. We are the cat whisperers. And I think we're bird whisperers to some people's pets. I love it that you're all watching with your pets. I love it. Okay.
What do you think Abby's doing at home right now? Snoozing?
Oh, yeah. I have an 18-year-old cat who just, she rules the world from her king-size bed. So, okay. So I have this. And Janice was saying she has, she gave a little tip that said, if you guys really want to get going, tape the leather down close to where you're sitting and then add a spool of thread like underneath it. So if it were here and I could come here and I'd tape, again, still working on the back so my tape isn't going to mark anything here, and then I can come in. And
that was a life changer for me, that spool under the item. Boy, does it make a difference.
And it lifts it up a bit.
Yep.
And
Perfect.
yeah, I think it's nice. You could also go to like your hardware store, whatever, get yourself a little bit of PVC pipe for this specific purpose, but a spool also works really well. And then just come in and knot until you're finished, okay, with however long you want this to be. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to slide this home run down here and I'm going to glue it, okay? Because I know that we've had a lot of questions about the gluing. So I'm going to start with this. We're going to glue, and then we're going to also glue these threads down because we're going to add another color, okay?
Okay.
So here's my home run. I'm going to get my trusty little bin of toothpicks there that my mama sent me for just this purpose. And I'm going to get some Zap glue. And the Zap is what we like for this project. It's a no drip glue gel, so it stays where you put it, and it dries like in a heartbeat. It bonds, was what I want to say, in a heartbeat. So I'm going to get myself another little baggie. I'm going to open up my zap, and I'm going to extrude a bit of zap out onto my plastic baggie, put the lid back on. And this is also why working on the back of your leather is nice, so that when you're gluing, if there's any like glue residue or anything gets funky, it's on the back and not the front. Okay, so I'm going to swipe up a bit of the zap. I'm going to paint it right on the back of the leather, trying not to go too far past the width of what that home run bead is going to be. I'm also going to do it here on the sides. That's the thing. You really want to catch as much surface of this piece as possible. And when zap glue fails, if you do have zap fail, it just means that there wasn't enough zap touching, making contact with all parts of your bead.
Not enough zip in your zap?
No, exactly. So let's slide this down. Slide it down, slide it down, slide it down. I might have made that zap a little tall, so I'm going to take a little bit away. I'm going to slide it down. And you can see I've got a little bit of extra zap there, so I'm just going to take it away with my toothpick. And the cool thing about that zap is that it's not running all over the place, so I can really control where I put it. And see how I'm pushing that home run bead right up against where I started that macrame. That's why I don't like gluing this piece or bonding this piece in place before I start the macrame. I like to have the macrame first, so then I can come down and really
so you're bringing
make a nice
bringing them out into the Muhammad rather than the
am.
other way around.
I am.
I like this idea. I wasn't so sure about having to glue things in place on this, but I can see where it really does keep the sections kind of tidy. Keeps everything from sliding around if you catch it on something. Yeah, you just can't have macrame floating around loose like that, really.
Everywhere. So now, to change colors, Janice didn't change colors on these, but I wanted to show you how you could. Again, I'm still working on the back, and I'm going to use one of our little clamps. And the clamps are padded, so I'm not really worried about marking the leather, but if I do accidentally mark the leather a little bit, it's going to be under a place where I'm going to macrame anyway. So see what I did right there? I just got the ends of my seal-on, and I did a little twist along the back.
So you're just pulling them in together so that they're like one thread.
One thread. Now I'm going to add another little dot of zap on my beloved little baggie. Get my little toothpick here, and I'm going to go underneath right there where that thread is, and then I'm gonna push it down with my baggie to really make sure that it's bonded. Let me get a little bit more here because this thread wants to untwist, but I'm not going to let it. I'm going to say, hey thread.
So since you're still on the back side, when you change your color like this, this little twist is going to be underneath.
It's going to be covered on the back.
Covered on the back. Good.
And it also gives me, you know, this gives me plenty of tail to macrame over.
Right.
So I'm going to come back in. I'm going to clamp. I'll clamp a little bit closer up. I'm going to remove all my glue because if you know me, you know that I'll glue my hand down to the table. And I'm going to continue. So I can, like with Janice's little tricky trick here, I'll put some tape. I'm going to put my little, I'm going to hand you that tape right there.
What?
I'm going to put my little spool, and I'm going to put some tape layers right here so it's all nice and tight. Now I'm ready to add my next color, okay? And I'm going to use a the what's this one? The lemongrass regular. And I don't need that much thread, so let me not be too ridiculous. I cut so much thread for this other one. I'm going to cut maybe
a yard-ish?
About a yard.
Okay.
Okay, that's plenty. Snip that away. And now we're just going to start with our new color change.
Who's the boss of that thread?
That would be me and you and everybody watching. That's right. So I'm going to bring this in, and I'm just going to start knotting. I don't even need to tie like an overhand knot or anything. I'm just going to come in, and I know that I've got my little scallop on this side, so I know that's where I make my P side of my thread. And with the other end, I go underneath the leather and out and up through the loop on the P. I get my thread tangled. Can you make sure that
We'll be delighted.
let's put that glue
Where it belongs?
Yeah, put that lid on that glue. And then I want to really just tell that thread, hey, man, you sit right where I tell you. Okay? And then I'm off to the races. So I'm just going to loop.
Do you turn it over periodically to check your work on the other side?
You know, I guess I could. I haven't yet. But I will. After this, we're going to actually start working on the front side.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over. But let me just quickly get some knots here. Make sure that that's nice and even. And I could, if I wanted to change colors, I could have put another home run bead in the middle, right? So it wouldn't be so fussy to change. But if I just wanted my colors to just be kind of seamless and go from one to the other, then I could just do this. Make sure they're nice and firm, that they're nice and close together. There we go. I think I can probably take this off. I think that's glued down pretty well. I'm going to clip away these tails.
That is pretty fast, isn't it?
Look at that. There we go. So now I can just come in and macrame like I mean it, kids, right? Now, we could use some different threads here. I know that some of you are probably saying, could I macrame with wax linen?
You bet.
You could, yeah. You want to make sure, though, that the wax linen might be a little sticky because it's waxed. But I've seen people macrame with it. You could certainly do that. There's all kinds of threads that you could work with, but the Ceylon, you could also use tough cord that we carry. The tough cord is great. This Ceylon regular is equal to about a tough cord number 3.
Cindy Brooke was saying that she runs her thread through a hair iron to
flatten
it out.
I used a flat iron this morning on my hair, and I thought about bringing it. That's really funny, Cindy Brooke. I think it's a great
I usually give it kind of a stretch when I pull it
off
the spool. Yeah, to get rid of the Shirley Temple curls.
The curls. But a flat iron is a great idea, and I really did have the flat iron in my hand this morning. I don't flat iron my hair often, but I don't know. I felt festive, I guess. So see how I can come over, and I'm nearing the end of where I cut it. So I'm just gonna.
This is such a nice finish, because I always feel like there's some little bits poking out, and they're a little scratchy scratchy if they're glued, and I don't like the look of them as well. So I like this, Kate. It looks good.
Thanks.
I like that thread change you did. It's really a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of a good one.
Yep.
I dig macrame. I'll tell you, I don't know. I think using it with this Ceylon, it really gives it kind of a refined air, and I think there's so much you can do with this, just this stitch. Now, in our 5-stitch project, Emily, on beadshop.com, the 5-stitch, we go through 5 different stitches. We use this macrame stitch where we're going back and forth between the right and the left. If you keep going in the one direction, you get a spiral.
Right.
So we could spiral over this too. If we kept going around and around, we'd have a spiral stitch rather than this flat stitch, and that would work as well.
What do you think about doing CKC with this?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You don't have the nice spool.
That's true.
Yeah,
Well, you have another color.
Yeah,
I
use
suppose.
another spool. But yeah, CKC in size 4
Or 5.
would rock. I don't know. Yeah, you bet. Janice K says I'm such a hippie. Yeah, I've never really been accused of that, Janice K. But right now with my macrame, you bet.
Also alternate styles, even though the spiral with the...
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Why
it'd be
not?
nice to have a
Bring
little
it
spiral
in.
right in the middle.
Yeah, it'd
you
be
know?
really cool. Okay, so here's this. So this is, I don't know, visually about even. So I'm going to go ahead, and since Emily pre-strung this, I'm going to slide my next slider up, untape it all.
You know, I know we did this
out.
pre-stringing just for ease of showing, but I actually kind of think this would be a smart trick to do anyway. Because
Yeah,
you
'cause
don't,
then
you
you're
don't
in
lose
order.
you're in order, you don't lose your place, you're just rolling along and slide another bead up, just like we do with regular macrame. You know, if we're going to have
exactly.
some beads in the middle then or on the edges,
Exactly.
we pre-string them on.
So here's my zap again, and this was a little, in Janice's Prairie handout, there's a whole like big rigmarole about how to finish it off and glue it and all kinds of stuff. So when we were going over, she sent me a tip sheet. I've got it right here, which is some good tips. I'll make sure that I get to all these tips for you guys. She said, you know, take a look at how I close these with the slider and just hid the ends of the thread
smart.
under the slider. And it's really, I think it's also a really great way to go with this. So I'm going to show you, instead of knotting it off and having to do all this crazy stuff, what we're going to do is I'm going to add some glue to the back of this piece, just like I did when I put slider number 1 up in place, okay? And I'm putting a little bit more on this side, and I'm going to use that big mound of glue. I'm going to take a little bit and put it over here on this side. Now, I'm not sliding the slider up yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my seal on and I'm going to string it through. You could use a needle, but this has a lot of body to it, so you don't need to, really. And this one over here. And this guy here. Maybe this edge needs a little bit of a clip. We're going to slide it underneath. Did I say I didn't need a needle? There we go. There it is. Now, what we're going to do is I want to make sure that my zap hasn't bonded yet, and it has not. I do need, though, just one more little drop of zap, I think, there. And you could pre-prepare this. You may want to string these ends through your slider before you add your glue, but my zap is still viable, I think, here. I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to use the edges. I'm going to use my thread so that my thread is nice and tight underneath my slider. But see how I'm using the thread to pull it up nice and tight like this?
I mean, you don't have to touch anything. If you're worried about getting yourself glued to anything, you won't.
I'm going to wipe away any of that excess zap.
Yeah. I know JP, this was her idea, and it's a good one.
Give it one little extra tug like this. And you could let it sit, but I'm going to use my thread, my super sharp thread snips, or you could use a really good pair of clippers, and I'm going to pull the thread
Cutting
and
under
clip.
a little tension, that's good.
Cutting under tension so that I get it. Okay. Ta-da! And now I'm going to turn it over to the front. And you
Look
can
how
see,
nice that looks.
yeah, it looks pretty neat, right? So here's our first section. We're good to go, okay? And Janice says that if you have a slider that's tight to the leather, she recommends taking the thread through the slider first, then add the slider to the leather, and then add the glue to the leather. So she'll slide it up into position before it gets too tight. Yeah, with the thread underneath, like I did here. So now we're set for our next connection. So I'm going to skip a little bit of space, however much I want to skip. I want to skip about this much.
And you're right side up now?
Yeah, and I'm right side up. Though we could go right side down again. And we're going to do this next strand. I'm going to slide up my next slider. And I'm not going to glue it in place yet. Okay? I'm just going to have it sit there for a moment. And so that's this section here. And Janice actually did hers a little bit closer. So let me go a little bit closer. Oh, and I'm off. That's what it is. Did you string these in the same order?
I did.
Oh,
I meant to.
That's okay. Maybe I started on the wrong end. Doesn't matter. Again, doesn't matter the sliders. I started on the wrong end. Oh, well, it's all right. Doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
I should have knotted it or something.
No, ain't no thing. I'm going to go not quite as tight. I want a little more of that purple showing. So I'm going to get up there a little bit more. I'm going to tape this down. Thank y'all. And I'm going to come in and we're going to do this beaded section. Now, I'm going to use the CKC. We use this double color here, so maybe I'll continue with the green. What color? Well, what color are our seed beads? Yeah, I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to cut another yard, right? I guess.
Are those the right?
Yeah, aren't they the right seed beads?
No,
Nope, they're the wrong seed beads. Oh, they're the wrong seed beads.
Those
It's
guys.
these ones. Well, I like those too. Oh, so maybe I want a contrast. If they're green,
Oh yeah, you might
I
want
want to put this one.
or the brown.
No, that's for the next one I'm
okay.
going to do. So, because this is regular.
Okay.
So I'm going to do another length of this Venetian red. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stretch this time to maybe try and tame some of that curl out of there. All right. So now we're ready to go. And again, I'm going to glue this in afterwards. But I'm just going to come in and I'm going to, what Janice says in her little tip sheet that she sent me, she said, where is it here? For the macrame and bead section, where the beads are on the side, she pre-strung about 10 beads per side and used Emily's method of a stopper bead on bead 11. And so we did 10 beads per side. So I'm going to just do 10 beads right here. 1, 2, 3. And this CKC, you don't really need a needle for this. Not CKC, this Ceylon. You don't really need a needle because it goes on pretty well, pretty easily. So I'm going to string on 10, and the 11th I'll close with the stopper. So that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 on this side, and then the 11. And the way, if I'm not mistaken, Emily, that we do a little slide, a little stopper, is I have the bead, right, and I'm going to go around again.
It's funny, this is something that's used a lot with, if you find a temporary strand of beads, a lot of times that'll be at the end.
Right, they'll have a stopper bead at the end, yeah.
And it's easy because you can move it around, it's easier to
does it
remove.
not? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't get tangled in things. It's just it's a handy thing to remember.
And yeah, these are all 8/0. Though you could go larger. We could go 6.
We could use some of the metal 8s.
We could use I think crystal the hematite cut cubes.
4mm crystals.
Yeah.
3mm
melons or fire polish. Yeah, any of that will work. Then I'm going to show you the zap glue method on the other ones, but this seems to be holding up pretty well. You could do a little self needle.
You know, especially if you're just doing a few. It's pretty quick.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11. There you go.
Perfect.
So let me loop this around as a stopper. And then we'll start doing that macrame. Now, you could do this a couple of ways. Like in this bracelet that I'm wearing, my color study bracelet, we have the beads directly across from one another. Can you see that? So I push a bead up on one side, a bead up on the other side, and then I tie my knots. I think actually that's what Janice did here as well. And it makes the length, the opening between your leather kind of big, so you can really see the color underneath it.
So it becomes another design element, having
another
that,
design
that
element.
little bit of a gap there, showing if you did alternating, that gap would be smaller.
Be smaller, and so I think maybe I don't know, maybe I'll alternate on this. You've seen we do that in our Bollywood project where we alternate back and forth. So it really is just a personal preference. So I'm going to start by starting with the P side of my loop here, pull this up and pull everything under, and I've started with that loop. You can see my little scallop is on that end, so I know I'm going to pick it up and tie on that end, and I'll use my little lift here to give myself a little space. I'm going to put 3 little tape ends there. And then I'm going to loop and go under. And so I think you can make as many knots in between as you want. Like this one that Karen did, she used true twos, and she looks like she did 3 full knots on each side, so she's got more there. On Janice's, it looks like maybe she did 2 full. Yeah. So again, it really depends on what you like.
What side of the bed you rolled out on that day?
That's right. Let's tighten that up. Then I'm going to tighten this one up, make a nice one. I'm going to do another section of a full knot. One. Oh, did you notice? I didn't. These tails aren't even. Let me even them up. That's all right. It's really easy to take it out.
Want to use your awl?
No, I think I've got it. I want to even up these threads. Don't do what I just did. I need to even up those threads so everything is even. Of course, now I've mixed my 10 beads per side. So let me divide them up again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 to that side, 10 to this side. There we go. And now the tails are even. Let me just tie those again real quick. Real quick, like it's the perils of a live broadcast. You see my successes. And when we stumble,
that's normal,
right?
You know, that's the process of doing.
Exactly. There we go. We're right back there where we started. Tighten that up. Get our second knot up there. Sometimes these first little knots, they just want to be a little tiresome, so you just want to tell them who's in charge.
I always find that the second half of the knot tightens up better.
Right, and
the
tightens
first
up
one's
that
a
first
little
half.
bit loose, and
right.
then you kind of tighten them up together.
Yeah. So here's that one. Do you do a lot of macrame, Em?
You know, I do, and I love working with the Chinese knotting cord because it is so flexible and soft.
It is.
And I love putting beads both on the outside, on the inside. So I have beads that I would slide up here and then macrame around them. And I really like doing that. I'm kind of looking forward to trying the surfer cord as well for the same kind of techniques. It's a little bit slick, but I like the fact that I don't have to worry about getting it wet.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. So I slid 2 up. I tied on this side.
That first knot is a little bit loopy one.
Yeah, and now I'm going to tie it here. And then I'm going to tie another full 2 knot, or, you know, full knot.
2 pieces.
This side, yeah. This side and then this side. Let me go ahead and bring those 2 beads back up again so you can see it. So there's that. I'm going to slide one of these bad boys down and one of these down. And then I notice, okay, there's my little scallop side, so I know this is the loop end. So I'm going to go here, over, under, and up through the loop. And tighten and do the same thing. Make my loop over the thread, under the leather, up through the loop, and tighten. And then I'm going to repeat that
You know, Janice was commenting that this should be everybody's favorite project because you get so much out of it with just some supplies and
minimal
one
amount
knot.
of supplies. Yep, and one knot. And
one
it
knot.
looks super fancy pants.
Yeah, it really does.
Slide these guys down.
And it does work up quickly. I think that's another thing that Cara really liked about it. It's not terribly difficult. The effect of it is very advanced looking.
Right.
But the execution of it is pretty repetitive and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But it does give you a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah. I really like this 5mm strap. You know, we carry so many colors on beadshop.com of all of these strap leathers. We also have it in that printed leather that I showed you earlier. We have it in a dotted leather that has like a little metallic stud running down the center. We have it stitched. And we're going to be adding a few more colors to our leather selection. We also have this in a flat braided leather, which I really dig, and I feel like sometimes that braided leather gets overlooked. We've used it in our, it was one of my loomed projects, I think, that we've used that braided leather. The name is escaping me, but all on our project page, you could certainly use the braided leather instead of our flat leather as well. So there's a lot of different options to really make it look personalized, right? What's going on over there, Brandon?
They're
Jackie
having some musical fun.
Oh, that's funny.
Jackie has named her All Paul.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Paul the All.
That's awesome.
Oh, my
Fun.
Lord.
I will send you. And I was saying that I like, why not take all of me?
Yes, why not?
Take my hand. Oh, Trisha's all the way. Very good, Trish.
That's right.
Perfect.
All these puns are super tiresome. Just
Ginger
kidding.
wants it all.
That's so true. Oh my God, it's only a matter of time before the all puns start. So you can see, I've made a little section right here, and I'm going to actually bring this to a close because we're going to get to the other one. And you can see for these 10 beads, I probably have enough to macrame. I'm getting a little short on my thread, so I would probably cut just maybe a touch more of it, but that's going to be my little beaded section for now. I'm going to go ahead and unstopper this side, and I'm going to do that by grabbing the awl itself and coming in, and that's going to help me open up this loop. Take the stopper bead off and pull that down and get rid of these beads, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Back it up, unloop the thread, and unstopper the bead. So now we're going to glue this section in place, and we're going to do the same thing. We would do the same way. I would glue this guy up right here into place, and then I would close this off with the tails coming through just like I did with this one. Okay, so I'm going to slide that one up.
Moving right through.
Moving right through. I'll add and I'll glue this. I'll glue this one later. You guys saw me glue the first one, so I'm just going to hold all this in place with tape, and we're going to move on to the beaded bridge section because I know all of you guys are super excited to see that. So I'm going to just put that there. I'm going to put a piece of temporary holding on tape to this one, just like that, and bend that over. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Okay? And I'll get rid of that.
Give it to me.
And then I'll put this into place. Okay? And I can come back and finish that up later. Okay? So let's move on to the next section. So I'm going to slide this up. Do the clasps work for the braided leather? And they do. They do. I think they would work just fine. You might need to add just a touch more of the glue, Beth, because the braided leather is braided on the surface, so the glue might fall down a little bit. So it might need a little bit of extra. Yeah. So this will be for the beaded bridge section. Okay?
Oh, this is what I'm really looking forward to because this one I don't know. It's all brand new to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So what Janice said was, and Tammy D, she asked, what about Chinese knotting cord 0.5 for the plain section? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think you could
You could go to town on the plain sections.
Yeah, you could do whatever you liked.
Yeah, and even in a variety of sizes too. Would have
work.
a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner effect.
Yeah, will all work, I think. Now, the length of thread, Lynn had a question about the length of the leather. The leather we sell in 1 meter lengths, so I'm just using the meter.
If you buy 2 meters, does it come cut or does it come a 2 meter piece?
That's a great question. I think it most of the time comes in a long piece. Oh, single pieces?
One.
The longer.
We'll do 2
Yeah,
meters if
one-
we got 2 meters.
Yeah.
Unless we can't.
Yeah, unless
Right.
we have
Okay.
it for some
Okay.
reason pre-cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, you know, because different bracelet sizes. I mean, if you wanted to do this as maybe a 3 wrap, you might get more out of a meter than 1. You'd get a couple maybe.
Yeah, and so and how many did we would you, Emily, count the sliders on this one?
Sure.
Just to double check.
Total sliders.
So for this section, this beaded bridge section, we're gonna use the 8/0 again. But the 8/0 have to pass through, or the thread has to pass through twice with the 8/0. So like I said earlier, that's why we use the fine weight seal-on rather than the regular.
1 dozen mixed sliders.
All right,
mixed
12
nut sliders.
12 mixed sliders. That's awesome. So I'm going to cut I want a good length. So I'm going to cut maybe like a yard, maybe like 2 yards, because I don't want to be coming up short. So this is where you guys, let me look at Janice's tips here. For the section of 8/0 strung across the top, Janice started with just a couple of macrame stitches to anchor the thread, and then she added 2 beads to 1 thread, pulled the thread through, and then pulled the thread through the opposite section so they were tight. So we're not pre-stringing our beads this time, but what we are doing is I'm going to...
Janice pointed out 2 yards,
2 yards,
please.
Okay, I think that's what I cut then, Janice. This is 1, yeah, this is 2 and change, I think. Yeah, that was my feeling. So I'm going to start by making a little self needle on this end, and I'm going to grab my zap.
It's funny how we really go through phases with the glue, isn't it?
Right? We were all E6000
We were
all
all
the time.
E6000 for about 3 weeks.
Right? And now we're back to
And
zap.
now we're like, we don't want to know you.
Yeah. And so I'm going to, there's my little piece there. I'm going to fold the baggie over on itself.
Sounds like Janice was a little struggly at one point for her.
Yeah, well, she
ran
did,
out of thread.
Yeah, and I'll show you, I'll get to the point. I'll show you on the other one where she added the thread, and I'll show you how I did that, or how she did it. So I really soak the end of that zap in there, and then I use that baggie like a little squeegee.
And you do the other end on that same baggie?
I'm going to.
Awesome.
I'm going to have you hold that end.
I'd be delighted.
If you would. Would you?
I would be delighted.
Terribly. It's terribly clever of you. I'm going to open that up. I think I need just a little more zap, so I'm going to add it in. Could we use shadows or hematite cubes? Tammy Drennan, you are speaking my language. Yes, you sure could. You sure could. I'm going to fold it over. Delicas would also look killer, I think. Though if you'd used an 11/0, we'd have to go down to the micro, probably.
No, Delicas have a pretty big hole.
They do have a big hole.
You
could
get,
test it
you
out.
might get about 3 across there, too.
Yeah, you could.
You know?
All
You'd
right,
have another
there's that one.
patterning
Another
choice.
patterning choice, yeah. It's really cool. All right. And there we go. I'm going to hand you this baggie.
Got it?
And let's just start it in. So I'm going to add 2 knots. I'm going to set this up like it was ready to go. So I've got some room to go underneath. Piece of tape 1, piece of tape 2. Make sure that I am in the center of this thread so I don't have one side particularly longer than the other. Let's even this out. You can see the edges of that zap, it's made these,
Harder,
the edges have made these needles harder. So I'm just going to come in with my thread snips, give it a good clip so it's nice and straight across. Now, let's start with 2 the first knots are always give you a little bit of a fit, doesn't it?
You know,
knots.
I find that, yes, you have to just be momentarily kind of being in the moment.
Yeah, and just say, just kind of roll with it.
Yep. And I don't
So
even
here's
worry
my
about
first
doing
one.
a real knot here. I'll just tie a knot.
Yeah, you can. I actually just jump in and start with my macrame stitch.
I often just get a knot to get it secured,
And
then
see how it wants to do this.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck? Why are you doing this thing? Why you got to do me that way? So let's just tighten this up, and you say, come on now, there you go. You behave there, and you come in and you tighten everything up. Okay. Now I'm still working on the top. This side, you definitely have to work on the top because you want your beaded bridge on the top, right?
and you want to watch what's going on.
Yeah. So let me get here on this side. I'm going to do 2 sets, so I've got a little bit of room.
And Janice wanted to confirm you're using the fine one.
I am using the fine.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to do one more section so I get out from under the shadow of this bead so everybody can really see what's happening. So I'm going to do one more section. All right, so now here come the beads, you guys. You're going to laugh at how easy this is. All you do, is you can do it on either side, I think. Just choose a side. Add your beads. How many did Janice use? She
3.
used 2.
Oh,
3
2.
across.
You're right.
She used 2 across.
I'm thinking delicas.
You're thinking delicas already.
I am.
I'm going to do that. So what she said is she put a couple of the 2 beads on one thread.
Right.
Then she brings the other thread back through, just like this. Okay, in the opposite direction, and pulled them tight into position. So let me pull them tight into position. Tighten this bad boy up here. That knot before it. Pull them into position. Okay, and now all you do, you guys, is you just continue to macrame. Okay,
She's very smart.
There's my, and you can see where my little like the little scallop would be. So I'm going to go to this side, make my macrame, 1 on one side and down, and 1 on the other side and down, like this. Okay, and tighten.
Janice, I like this a lot.
1, and then 1 complete stitch, and then she did her next bead.
Yeah, 2 more beads.
So I'm going to add 2 more beads, 1 and 2. I'm going back through these guys with my little self-made needles here, this side and this side. Pull it through. There we go. Tighten it up.
The all puns are continuing. Trish says, that's all?
Yep, that is all. And then I come in and I do my little knot. 1 complete knot. And if these are kind of coming out of kilter as you're tying the knot, just put them back into place.
Well, it's nice, you know, the full knot gives it an even, real predictable look, and it doesn't really have a slant to it.
Right. Exactly.
If you were,
there we
you
go.
know, doing just one and then adding beads, you would definitely have a little bit of a slant to the look of it.
So it goes through, and it goes through over here, and these slide right on over, and pull it tight. Makes it pretty simple. I'm going to do 1 more here, and then we're going to show how to put the clasp on and measure. And we'll take a look at, I also want to point out where Janice had to add a little bit of thread.
Cindy was pointing out that she felt that the Ceylon would go through the 8 twice. I agree with you, Cindy. I think you're right. It would be a tighter fit, and it would be a little bit stiffer.
The regular Ceylon? Yeah, might be a little stiff.
Slower.
Yeah. But it would. I would experiment and see what works for you. I bet these 8/0, you could bump it up to even like 1 6/0 and have it be a little wonky over the top, if you want. I'll do this last one and then we'll call it a day for this. And this guy goes down. My scallop is on that side, so I knot it, tighten, and tighten. And you can really go as long as you want. Yeah, tell those little beads to line up. So let's take a look at what it looks like. So you can see on the edge how it's making, that one was a little funky, but see how your stitches come together, where they come up and they kind of form a little Y in here. That's kind of that jaggedy little edge that you're creating. And on Janice's, that edge, there is a part where it's actually right here. You can see she ran out of thread. And what she did, because you can see there's a little bit of a gap. On the front you can't tell. But what she did is she ended it up off just about how you did it, like when you're seed bead, weaving off seed bead ends. She just kind of wove it back through these beads here. You could even weave it underneath your macrame if you wanted to. And then she started a new one, weaved it off, and then added a little bit of glue on her last pass, and then glued the edges inside one bead, and then just jumped in with another length of thread. And
Janice said she faked it. And you know what? It's, in my opinion,
that looks great.
Anytime you can do it and it holds in position and it looks good to you.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's not faking it, that's doing it.
Yeah, it looks great. And you can see, though, that stitch here on the back and see on the side. It looks really neat, and I really, really love it.
Tammy, we have the C clasps in all 3 flavors.
All 3 flavors, yep. They're in all 3 flavors. So I'm going to use a little, yet again, another piece of tape to hold this slider in place, because I'll do all this gluing and finishing off air, because we want to get to the clasping part.
Yeah, you're right on track.
In our last few moments here. So
I think she's right. Bugle beads would be fun.
I agree.
Oh,
Yeah, bugle
bugles?
beads would look cute.
Yeah,
look cool up
bugles
top.
would be cool, especially if you use, again, I think you'd have to use thinner thread for the bugles.
Yeah, maybe.
But they would certainly work. The thing about the bugles is you want to make sure that your bugle, you have enough room inside the bugle so the bugle doesn't split.
Right. Yeah, because you are going to be forcing a lot of, you're going to be putting a fair amount of pressure on there.
What is Janice saying? If you don't want to put tape on your leather, you can tape over a glued slider. Yeah, I could. The tape, I don't think, is really, when I was taking the tape off, and it's not going to live on here very long, I don't think it's going to mark the front of this leather at all, actually.
You can do that with shadows,
what
too.
I could also do if I take this off, like this, yeah, and you can see, it's actually fine. I could also use our little friend, our little clamp friend, and just kind of hold it on there like that.
But it's really not going anywhere for the moment.
It's not. So let me go ahead and let's do the closure. Slide up all these sliders here. I've got all of these threads, but
Yeah, loose beads, loose ends everywhere.
We're gonna go with it. All right. So let me just kind of make all of this tidy so we can deal with it. And then let's look at the clasp. Now the C clasp, as Emily was saying, we carry it on beadshop.com. It comes in 3 different colorways. And I just love the effect. You know how I love metal. So I think it adds kind of a great metal statement to this piece. What we're going to do first is you can do either side if you want. I think, Janice, what you did was we can start with either the loop or this side here. I think this ending side has this side in it, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this side first. Now, it's easy to glue these in upside down if your clasp is apart. Okay?
Aye, aye, aye.
Okay? So, I feel like my first gluing, I want to make sure that it's connected and glued.
And I was putting
in the right
this
place.
link portion underneath. If your bracelet has a sort of a, it went on my wrist with that part underneath.
Oh, under,
Yeah.
right. And I don't think it really matters.
I don't either.
The way when you're gluing it on. The thing though that when to prepare it for gluing, you want to make sure you've got a nice straight across cut. And Janice is asking which side went into which. It doesn't really make any difference. I don't think it does. You clip this across really nicely. What I use to clip this with is I'll just come in with my wire cutter and give it a nice straight across cut.
Right.
Like that.
The flush
right?
cutters do a great job on that leather.
And I fit it just to make sure that I've got enough room, and I kind of get that feeling that, okay, I just want to make sure that this is, you know, it's going to fit in there correctly. You also want to make sure that you're gluing the leather the right side up.
Right. So
Right?
take your time and make sure that
So take
you're
your time.
doing a little pre-fitting is always
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
So let's go ahead and glue this. I'm going to get, would you open that zap for me?
Oh, sure.
And just put a little bit here so I'm not too, so I don't have to unhand this.
Unhand me.
There we go, perfect. I'm going to get a little bit of this, and I'm going to first put it on the edge of that leather, because we want that leather to go all the way to the back of the clasp. Now I'm going to turn it over to the back. I'm going to put my glue down the back of the leather, also on the side, because you want your leather to grip on all
I heard an
surfaces.
interesting
And
gluing.
can I have one more little dot?
Sure. I've heard an interesting gluing
Perfect, thank you.
description, and this was from my dad years ago when he would do woodworking, that you can actually push the joint together too tightly. And he called it starving the joint. That you make your fit so tight that there's no
not
glue.
enough glue there. Yeah.
So
it's really true.
this is, you know, putting enough
we
glue
go.
on is important, and also making sure that that fit is just right.
Yeah, so I don't want it, you know, to push it in so much or have it be so tight that all the glue goes away.
Right.
That's exactly right. So see, with my toothpick, I'm going to come in, take away a little bit of that extra leather. I double check it right at this point to make sure that it's right side up, that I haven't glued it in upside down. And I'm just going to take away the excess.
And I made some bracelets the other day at a party on the person, basically,
You are so funny.
because I wanted to make sure it fit right.
Right? That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And
if you're
everyone was
there,
watching me going, what are you doing? I said, I'm making jewelry.
You're like,
Get away from
I'm
me.
playing my craft.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not your party trick. Your entertainment. Okay, there we go. Now all of that glue is gone, and by the time I've just been kind of holding this in place and kind of making sure that it's nice and tight, we have a pretty good bond on there. I'm gonna just push that aside for the moment. And what I would do if I weren't doing this live on air, I'd let this side sit for about 10 or 15 minutes and really let it bond.
Let it finish curing.
So, but let me feel it. It's really, it's in there. So we're going to go around to the second side. And Emily, I'm going to have you help me with this.
I'd be
If
delighted.
this were going to fit me, I now put it on and go ahead and let's wrap it
Down just a little bit. Thank you.
with all of these threads and strings. And the way that this wraps, you guys, these wrap bracelets just kind of wrap so that the wraps are kind of one on top of each other, right? So it's just kind of a thing. And again, you're going to have some, this one doesn't have all of the threads and the knotting and stuff beforehand. So I'll go ahead and turn it over. So, thank you. So I may want to make it just maybe a hair bigger, but not much. Okay.
So those threads and things are going to take up some inside diameter.
A little bit of space.
We also already have the sliders on, so that's accounted for. So that's good.
Right. So this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I have it there with my finger. Emily, would you mark on that piece of tape?
I'd be delighted.
There's a pen. You got your pen. Right about where I'm going to cut it.
And really, I'm actually making a little... hold on. Let me see if my pen just needs some juice. There we go.
There we go. That's where I'm going to clip it. So I'm going to unwind it now.
Janice is saying not to glue the second side.
Don't glue the second side until you finish your macrame. It's going to need air. Okay, well, Janice is probably right on this one. But we do have the sliders on, so it's given us enough air. So essentially what I would do is I'm going to complete it just as I did this first side. I will cut everything, and then I'll cut my leather to size, and I'll push it in and glue it just as it is.
Janice said she was being a little bossy.
Oh, yeah. She is. She is being a little bossy, but what are you going to do? Right? It's her project, so we'll let her have the last word. But with the wrapping and all of these sliders, I think we've accounted for that. So,
I think so too.
But in the interest of time as well, let's move along. So that's really it. That's all there is to it.
I love it.
You can, where is our other...
Here's the blue one.
Finished one. Here's our blue one. I'll wind this around. Just like so. And again, when we're gluing that second side, we want to make sure that the leather doesn't have a twist or anything to it. And what I would do is I would not undo the clasp when I glue it.
Well, that makes so much sense, especially with a magnetic clasp, that you really, it has a real functional purpose.
I would just come around and I would make sure that this is all in the right plane. And then I'd come in and glue it. Okay?
Gita brought up a little point. Will you separate the clasp before the glue dries to make sure the parts of the clasp don't glue together?
You know, you could, Gita, if you wanted, but I'm pretty confident that I don't have any glue in there.
Right.
And especially on this side way over here, I wouldn't worry about it. But I would just make sure it's all set to go. Okay? But here we have this guy, and we've got this guy over here. And so we're all set. We've got the three colorways. We've got, this is the Crater Lake. This one here, this center one, is the Bryce Canyon, and then this one on the end over here is the Petrified Forest. And we'll have this sample all done and up, especially by the time the episode notes are up and stuff. So to find everything that we used on this project, the clasps and everything, you can just jump over right to beadshop.com to the Prairie project, and you'll see these three, all of the tools, the materials, and the glue. We used the Zap glue for all of this gluing today. Okay? So I think that's it.
Kate, it was really
Let's
a
move
fun
that camera and let's...
Janice, I think you did a great job coming up with these new little twists on a bead shop classic. I'm really digging the silver leather. I like the texture that it's got. Just the other leather just looks a little bit plain, and that silver metallic, I think it's just really yummy.
Silver. And you know, just like Janice's piece that she did, the trail ride, not trail ride, trail ride, yeah, trail ride. The leather gets a little aged.
Right.
That's what's going to happen with these leathers as well, and I think they're going to look just fine. You know, as they age a little bit. You know, I always like my.
Well, it's going to have a little bit of a break in. You know, I like it.
It looks great. Well, let's go ahead, and I think we're in pretty good shape. I think we've answered a lot of questions and done a lot of fun stuff here. We do have, just to end the broadcast today, you know, those you guys remember, Emily and I went to Tucson back in February, and we got some, it seems like it was just a few weeks ago, but it was really like
I was just looking through my tax stuff last
April.
week, and it was
I'm wait, what did we do?
Tucson.
Look at that. But we got a really cool bunch of beads that we were making mixes with, and giveaway mixes and things. So we thought today would be a fun one, and this mix, our Tucson mix, it kind of goes with each of the colorways that we did.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be really fun to maybe take this mix and do a companion bracelet, because you know how we like to stack. You could just simply... We like to what? What? We like to stack those bracelets.
Yeah.
So this would make just a fun, simple strung-up bracelet, or there's... I know you guys are super duper creative. You'll come up with something.
You could do elastic.
But I think it goes
you could
with
macrame.
all three of these all three of these palettes really,
You could string
well.
it and just wrap it around your wrist. You could wear it as a necklace. The necklace and the bracelet. That kind of
together,
goes together.
it'd be really fun.
Yep.
So that's going to be our giveaway today. So
gonna get a little fat baggie of beads.
So and we're giving away to everybody who places an order between now. Today is 4/11/2018. If you place an order before about 1 p.m. Pacific time today, it's just a little afternoon right now, so you've got about an hour, and you write "mix it up" in your shipping notes, you'll receive this custom mix that Emily and I mixed up for you. A lot of these beads that are in this mix, like these really cool 8mm, I think this is porcelain jasper, rounds and stuff.
And there's some chips in there.
There's chips. The rounds we don't carry. It was a special one, and these little faceted blue and these tiny faceted green. Those are also kind of special to this mix. It's things we don't carry regularly on the site.
And this mix doesn't happen again. This is it.
That's it. That's it. So make sure you make that order and write it in your notes, because we make a limited amount of them. So we also have, if you opened up your newsletter today, we thought since the debut of this new Prairie, I think it calls for a store-wide. So we are doing Prairie 20. So again, it's the 11th of April, and if you use Prairie 20 in your orders until midnight tonight Pacific time, we'll take 20% off your order. We've got so much for you guys to play with and do, so I really hope that you enjoy this project. I can't wait to see what you make. Do send them over,
we love
or
to see
post
it.
them on our bead group, the Bead Table. If you're not a member, jump on over and answer a couple of little questions, and we'll let you in to play with all of our great members we've got over there.
Well, I noticed that you put up a spreadsheet for people to start keeping track of their Ceylon colors.
Yeah, we did.
This is
some
kind
fun
of
things.
this is a great place where you might have 2 colors but not a third.
Right, exactly.
So this would be a great place to pull in that other third color.
Yeah.
You know, or you've got one color, doesn't have any buddies.
Right.
Time to get the other colors to
time
go
to get
with.
the other colors, because it really is what you would like to say a thread forward kind of a project, right?
That's a really nice way to put it.
Thread forward.
Thread forward.
Right. Well, next week we are changing gears a little bit. We're going to continue kind of with stringing, but we're going to turn our attentions to soft flex. And many of you know the wonderful Sarah Ayler from Softflex Company. She's been with Softflex for a long, long time. She's their expert beader. She's written a great new book that's just out. So she's going to come and be our guest here on Facebook Live. We're going to be working on one of her projects from the book. We're going to give it a little bit of a bead shop spin. And we are going to be exploring the world of soft touch and super duos.
It's really,
it's going to be really
really
fun.
a cute project, and I think everybody's going to like it, and they're going to not be able to put it down.
No, and it's fast, it's easy, it's a great way. It would be a great project if you have people to give gifts for Mother's Day, or it's April already. The holidays are going to be here. We're going to turn around. It's going to
Tomorrow.
be the holidays, and you're going to go, wow, I should have beaded more.
That's why I'm working on something.
Yeah, well, this next week's project would be a great one to get a jump start. So that's it, I guess.
know.
So I'll see you next Wednesday with Sarah Ayler from Softflex. And I'll also see you Friday on Free Tip Friday. I'll cook something fun up for us to do together on
maybe
Friday
something
morning.
with a mix.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It'll come to me in the shower like it always does. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon here at beadshop.com.
Be well.
Have fun beading.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. I love
that one
that
too.
silver with the blue.